Ladies and gentlemen, imagine waking up 1 year from now and realizing that everything in your life has changed. Your confidence, your peace, your relationships, your success. And all because of five small habits you started today. Not massive breakthroughs, not overnight miracles, but tiny decisions that quietly transformed everything about who you are. The truth is, your future isn't waiting for luck. It's waiting for your discipline. And by the time this message ends, you'll know exactly how to start changing your life, not someday, but right now. And ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, most of us want a better life. We want more peace, more confidence, more energy, more fulfillment. But we often believe that change has to be massive to matter. We think we need a breakthrough, a dramatic transformation, a sudden moment when everything shifts. But the truth is, life doesn't change in big, cinematic moments. It changes quietly in the small habits we build every single day. Because the small things we do consistently are far more powerful than the big things we do occasionally. If you want to change your life, stop waiting for the perfect plan and start changing what you do in the next 24 hours. And the first small habit that will transform your life is to begin your day with intention, not reaction. Most people wake up and immediately give their attention away to notifications, to messages, to what everyone else wants from them. Before they even get out of bed, they've already handed over control of their focus. But the people who live empowered, purpose-driven lives do the opposite. They start the day by asking, what kind of person do I want to be today? What energy do I want to bring into this day? Spend the first 10 minutes in silence, gratitude, or reflection. No phone, no noise, just presence. Set an intention. Maybe it's patience, maybe it's courage, maybe it's kindness. When you begin your morning with that clarity, you stop being a reactor and start being a creator. You stop living on autopilot and begin steering your own ship. And the second small habit is to do the hard thing first. Every single day, there's one task you're avoiding: the email, the workout, the conversation, the project. And every time you avoid it, it grows heavier. It drains you even when you're not doing it. But when you face it head on, you start your day with momentum. You tell your brain, I'm the kind of person who does what needs to be done. That's confidence in its purest form, keeping promises to yourself. Because confidence isn't born from motivational quotes. It's born from moments where you prove to yourself that you can be relied on. So, each morning, before distractions creep in, before doubt has a chance to whisper, tackle the one thing you least want to do. Do it while your willpower is strong. You'll find that the entire day becomes lighter, sharper, and more productive. And the third small habit is to replace complaining with problem solving. It's easy to vent. It's easy to talk about how unfair, frustrating, or exhausting something is. But every time you complain, you reinforce a story of helplessness. You remind yourself that life is happening to you instead of for you. The next time you catch yourself complaining, pause and ask, what can I control here? What's one small thing I can do right now to move forward? That one question shifts your mindset from victim to leader. Maybe you can't change the situation, but you can always change your response. And when you start approaching life with solutions instead of complaints, you not only feel stronger, you become someone who inspires others to rise with you. And the fourth small habit is to guard your environment like your peace depends on it, because it does. Your environment is constantly shaping who you are becoming. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the spaces you spend time in, they all feed your energy or drain it. If you spend your time around negativity, gossip, or constant distraction, it's almost impossible to maintain focus or optimism. But if you curate your environment intentionally, you change your state effortlessly. So clean your space, unfollow the accounts that make you feel inadequate, limit your time with people who only complain, and spend more time with those who challenge you, uplift you, and remind you of your potential. When you build an environment that reflects the future you want, your habits naturally align with that future. And the fifth small habit is to practice daily courage. Courage isn't about grand gestures or dramatic leaps. It's about micro moments of bravery throughout your day. It's sending that message you've been afraid to send. It's saying no when you usually people please. It's speaking up when your voice trembles. It's showing up to the gym when no one else sees it. Each act of courage rewires your identity. It tells your brain, I am the kind of person who acts despite fear. And that identity compounds over time. You don't wake up confident one day. You build it brick by brick through acts of courage that no one claps for. Courage isn't loud, it's consistent, and every time you choose courage, your life expands a little more. And these 5 habits may sound simple, but simplicity is deceptive. The hardest part about small habits is that they're easy to ignore. It's easy to skip gratitude one morning, easy to avoid the hard task, easy to complain instead of solving, easy to keep scrolling, easy to let fear win, but it's also easy to not do those things, to take one deep breath, to take one small action, to make one brave decision. The question is, which easy are you choosing? Because one leads to growth and the other leads to stagnation. And when you change your daily habits, you don't just change your results, you change your identity. You start to see yourself differently. You start to trust yourself more. You stop being the person who hopes things will change and become the person who makes them change. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Even a 1-degree shift every day leads to a completely different destination over time. And think about it. If you improved just 1% each day, by the end of a year, you wouldn't just be 365% better. You'd be exponentially stronger, wiser, calmer, more confident, because growth compounds. Small wins turn into big victories. Quiet effort turns into visible transformation, but the moment you start matters, not tomorrow, not next week, today. And your life isn't waiting for some huge event to save you. It's waiting for you to start showing up differently. To treat the small decisions with the same seriousness you treat the big ones, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you bring excellence, gratitude, and courage to the small moments, life will trust you with the bigger ones. And the truth is, change doesn't happen when you finally feel ready. It happens when you stop waiting to feel ready. When you decide that who you are becoming matters more than who you've been. When you stop asking for motivation and start building discipline. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline creates miracles. And so tomorrow morning, before you grab your phone, breathe. Set an intention. Face the hard thing first. Refuse to complain, solve instead. Choose your company wisely. And do one small brave thing that scares you. It might not look like much in the moment, but those are the moments that rewrite your future. Because Greatness isn't found in the loud moments of success. It's forged in the quiet, consistent acts no one sees. And the beautiful part, you don't have to wait to start. You can begin changing your life not next month, not next year, but in the next minute. One small habit at a time. And when you start embracing small habits, something profound happens. You begin to see yourself differently. You stop identifying with your past mistakes and start recognizing your potential for growth. Each small action becomes a declaration of who you want to become. Every time you choose to take that walk instead of scrolling, every time you speak with patience instead of reacting in frustration, every time you choose gratitude over comparison, you are casting a vote for your future self, and over time, those votes accumulate into a new identity, one built on self-respect, consistency, and quiet strength. And the mistake so many people make is thinking they need to feel ready to start. They wait for motivation, for the perfect mood, the right timing, the ideal conditions. But motivation is fleeting, it's unreliable. You don't need to feel ready to change your life. You need to start moving, even when you're uncertain. The magic of small habits is that they lower the barrier between you and action. You don't need to run a marathon. Just put your shoes on. You don't need to meditate for 30 minutes. Start with 2. You don't need to become a master of discipline overnight. Just keep one promise to yourself today. Because momentum doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from movement. The more you move, the more clarity you create. And it's like pushing a car stuck in mud. At first, it feels impossible. Every shove feels like it's going nowhere. But then, inch by inch, it starts to move. And once it's rolling, the same force that felt useless suddenly feels effortless. That's what consistency does. The beginning always feels heavy, awkward, uncertain, but stay with it long enough and you'll start to feel the power of your own momentum. The small habit that feels insignificant today could be the very reason your life looks unrecognizable a year from now. And here's the truth, your environment will test you. Not everyone around you will understand the new standard you're setting. When you start to grow, it can make people uncomfortable. They may question your choices, minimize your effort, or tempt you back into the old patterns that keep you small. But remember this, you are not changing to make others comfortable. You are changing to become the person you were always meant to be. Growth often requires solitude. You might have to walk alone for a while, but it's in those quiet moments that you build the resilience and clarity you need for the journey ahead. And when you begin saying no to what drains you, you create space for what fulfills you. That means saying no to meaningless scrolling, no to toxic conversations, no to the voice that tells you you're not good enough. Every no is also a yes. A yes to your peace, your focus, your growth. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't pour into others if you're constantly running on empty. So, build the habit of checking in with yourself. Ask, does this align with the person I want to become? If the answer is no, have the courage to walk away. And another small habit that transforms your life is speaking to yourself with compassion. Too many people think self-criticism is the path to improvement, but it's not. It's the path to paralysis. The way you talk to yourself determines how you show up in the world. If you constantly tell yourself you're lazy, unworthy, or behind, you'll start to live in alignment with that story. But if you start talking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend, You'll find the strength to keep going even when you stumble. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to learn, grow, and adjust along the way. So, the next time you catch yourself spiraling in negative self-talk, pause and ask, is this voice helping me or holding me back? Then, replace it with truth, the truth that you are learning, that you are capable, that you are worthy of progress. And one of the most powerful shifts you can make is to start celebrating effort, not just results, because results take time, but effort happens now. Every small effort you make compounds over time into something extraordinary. If you focus only on the outcome, you'll get discouraged. But when you focus on the process, you'll stay consistent. Reward yourself for showing up, even when it's messy. Recognize the discipline in doing what's right instead of what's easy. Progress is built not by perfection, but by persistence. You're not competing with anyone else, you're becoming a better version of who you were yesterday. And there's also immense power in gratitude. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending life is perfect. It's about training your mind to see what's good even when things are hard. Every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be profound. It could be a warm meal, a friend who listened, a small victory you noticed. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to focus on abundance instead of lack. And when you focus on abundance, you attract more of it. Gratitude turns your attention from what's missing to what's present, and that shift alone can change how you experience your entire life. And another game-changing habit is to be intentional with your words. The language you use about yourself, your goals, and your life matters. Stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." Stop saying, "I can't," and replace it with, "I'm learning to." The words you speak plant seeds in your subconscious. Speak with conviction. Speak with faith in your ability to adapt, grow, and overcome. The words you repeat most often become the beliefs that drive your actions. When you start speaking with confidence, even before you fully feel it, your actions will begin to rise to meet your words. And don't underestimate the habit of rest either. Productivity is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with energy and clarity. If you never rest, you'll never have the fuel to sustain growth. Give yourself permission to pause. Take walks without headphones. Spend time in nature. Allow yourself to disconnect. Some of the best ideas, solutions, and moments of peace come when you stop forcing them. Rest is not a reward you earn after being busy. It's a requirement for becoming your best self. And consistency is not about never falling off track. It's about always returning. You will miss days. You will get distracted. You will have moments of doubt. But success isn't about never breaking the streak. It's about never letting one missed day become 2. When you slip, don't spiral, just return. The power lies in your return, because every time you come back, you strengthen the muscle of resilience. You remind yourself that you can always start again. And perhaps one of the most transformative habits you can develop is the ability to sit with discomfort. Growth is uncomfortable, change is uncomfortable, but discomfort is not the enemy, it's the signal that you're evolving. When you learn to sit in that space without running from it, you build mental toughness. Most people avoid discomfort by seeking distractions, numbing habits, or easy outs. But if you can learn to breathe through it, to stay when it's uncomfortable, you'll develop a level of strength that few people ever reach. Every uncomfortable moment you survive becomes proof that you can handle more than you thought. And the truth is, these habits may seem small, almost too simple. But simplicity is where the power lies. The things that change your life are rarely dramatic, they're often quiet, consistent acts repeated daily. The habit of intention, the habit of courage, the habit of kindness toward yourself, the habit of gratitude, the habit of discipline. These are not grand gestures, they are small steps done with great awareness. And when you string these small steps together day after day, you create a rhythm of progress, of peace, of power. You stop living by default and start living by design. You start realizing that you don't need to wait for life to give you permission to change. The permission was yours all along, and you are one decision away from a completely different direction. One small habit away from momentum. One brave action away from building trust with yourself again. Every morning is another chance to start building the life you deserve, not through massive overhaul, but through small, intentional acts that honor who you are becoming. Because real transformation doesn't happen in a single moment. It happens in thousands of small moments, repeated until they become who you are. And when you start living with this kind of intentionality, you begin to notice that life stops feeling like something that's happening to you and starts feeling like something that's happening through you. You stop chasing big changes and start embodying small shifts. The pressure to be perfect begins to fade because you realize it's not perfection that transforms you, it's persistence. You begin to find beauty in showing up, even when it's hard, even when no one sees it. And the more you honor these small promises to yourself, the more your life starts to mirror that inner discipline. And there's something extraordinary that happens when you realize you are not a victim of your habits. You are their creator. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is shaping the direction of your life. The food you eat, the words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, the people you allow close, all of it is forming the foundation of your future. And when you become aware of that, you start to treat your daily actions like sacred rituals. You start to notice that excellence isn't about occasional bursts of effort, it's about the quiet decision to do the right thing when no one's watching. And it's easy to get discouraged when progress feels slow. It's easy to feel like you're putting in the work and not seeing the results you hoped for. But what you don't realize is that growth is happening beneath the surface. It's like planting seeds in a garden. For a while, it looks like nothing's happening, but under the soil, roots are forming strong, invisible, and essential. Those roots are what hold you steady when the storms come, and when the time is right, the results start to show. But only after you've stayed consistent long enough for the foundation to form. And that's why you must be patient with yourself. Patience isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the quiet belief that what you're building will pay off, even if you can't see it yet. It's trusting that your effort is never wasted. Every time you make the hard choice, every time you resist the old pattern, every time you show up despite fear, you're watering those roots. One day, the life you dreamed of will start to grow before your eyes, and people will call it luck or talent, but you'll know it was habit, discipline, and faith that built it. And another small but life-changing habit is to focus on progress, not comparison. The fastest way to drain your motivation is to measure your journey against someone else's timeline. You'll always find someone ahead of you, doing more, achieving more, appearing more confident. But what you don't see are their struggles, their insecurities, their moments of doubt that mirror your own. The only fair comparison you can make is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Every small improvement counts. Every time you choose better, think better, act better, you win. Comparison distracts you from your own evolution. Stay in your lane. Your pace is perfect for your purpose, and don't underestimate the habit of reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to ask yourself, what went well today? What can I learn from today? How did I show up for myself? These questions help you grow with awareness. They stop your days from blending into each other and help you recognize the progress you're actually making. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without it, you repeat the same lessons. With it, you evolve faster and with greater clarity. And there's also immense power in learning to detach from outcomes. When you fixate too much on results, you lose the joy of the process. You start doing things for validation instead of growth. But when you focus on the process, the habit itself, you free yourself from pressure. You start to realize that the win isn't just in achieving the goal, it's in the person you become while working toward it. The growth, the discipline, the self-respect, that's the real reward. And one of the most overlooked habits in creating lasting change is showing gratitude not only for what you have, but for what you handle. Life will always test you, but each challenge you overcome builds emotional muscle. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this teaching me? That small shift in language changes everything. It turns obstacles into opportunities. You start to see pain as a teacher, not a punishment. You start to find meaning in your struggle, and that meaning becomes the fuel that keeps you moving forward. And you might not realize it yet, but your hardest moments are shaping you into someone who can handle more, give more, and love more deeply. The small habit of seeing meaning in struggle gives you resilience. It teaches you to stay grounded when life throws storms your way. It reminds you that you're not fragile, you're adaptable, you've already survived things you thought would break you, and you're still here, growing, evolving, becoming. And start building the habit of taking responsibility for your energy. Every interaction you have leaves an imprint. When you walk into a room, you either add to the energy or drain it. Choose to be someone who adds value to your relationships, your work, your community. Be intentional about the energy you bring. When you lead with kindness, when you listen deeply, when you speak with empathy, you become magnetic. People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. The small habit of showing up with good energy is one of the most powerful ways to change not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. And there's also a simple but profound habit that can completely shift your mindset. Learn something new every day. Growth doesn't stop when school ends. The most fulfilled people are lifelong students. Read a few pages of a book. Watch a video that challenges your thinking. Listen to a podcast that expands your perspective. It doesn't matter how small the step each time you expose your mind to new ideas. You give yourself a fresh lens through which to see the world. Learning keeps you alive, curious, and open. It stops you from becoming stuck in old stories or limited beliefs. And one of the most empowering realizations you can have is that your future is built in private. It's not what you post online or what others see. It's what you do when no one's watching. It's the quiet moments when you choose discipline over distraction. peace over drama, effort over excuses. Those invisible decisions compound over time into visible results. So stop needing validation for your growth. Let your progress speak for itself. You don't need applause to keep showing up. You need alignment. And remember, small habits aren't just about achieving more, they're about feeling more alive. When you start living with purpose, you begin to appreciate the little things again. The sunrise feels different. A conversation feels deeper. Even your challenges start to feel meaningful. You stop rushing through life and start being in it. Because these habits aren't just tools, they're reminders. Reminders that you have control, that you can create peace, that you can choose how you respond to life. And when you live this way, you start to build self-trust, and self-trust is the foundation of everything. It's what allows you to take risks, to be vulnerable, to follow through on your dreams. Without it, every goal feels shaky. But with it, you move through life with quiet confidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, you build that trust brick by brick. And soon, you'll look back and realize that the person who once doubted everything now believes in themselves completely. And the beauty of this journey is that it never really ends. There's always another level of awareness, another layer of strength, another opportunity to grow. The key is to fall in love with the process of becoming, to wake up every day knowing that you are both a masterpiece and a work in progress. You don't need to wait for a milestone to feel proud. You can feel proud every time you show up, every time you choose progress over perfection, every time you decide to keep going. And because the truth is, the life you want doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design, and that design is created through the smallest of daily choices. The ones no one sees, the ones you could easily skip, the ones that feel insignificant but are actually rewriting your destiny. One better choice, one better thought, one better habit, and everything begins to change. And as you continue walking this path, you start to realize that life is not a race, it's a rhythm. Every step you take, every small act of courage, every quiet decision to grow becomes part of that rhythm. You no longer rush to the destination because you begin to find joy in the movement itself. You start to understand that peace doesn't come from controlling everything. It comes from aligning with what truly matters. The more you build these small, intentional habits, the more you notice how life starts to respond to you differently. Opportunities show up where there used to be obstacles. People who align with your energy start to appear. And instead of chasing, you begin to attract. And it's a subtle shift, but a powerful one. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth and start living from it. You no longer act out of fear of not being enough. You act because you know you already are. That's what small, consistent habits do. They rebuild the relationship you have with yourself. They teach you that you don't need validation to move forward, that you can trust your own effort, that the path doesn't have to be loud or dramatic to be meaningful. You start showing up for your own life not because you're desperate for results, but because showing up has become who you are. And every small win adds up. Waking up earlier, keeping your word, saying no to distractions, taking care of your body, choosing gratitude when things don't go your way. Each of these is a quiet victory. You might not see the payoff immediately, but you're changing your internal landscape. You're training your mind to find strength instead of excuses, to see progress instead of problems. One day, You'll look back and realize that the person you became is the direct result of those invisible efforts. And the truth is, your habits are your anchor when life gets chaotic, and it will. Your habits are what keep you grounded. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And the systems you build every day are simply your habits repeated over time. If your system is built on discipline, gratitude, and purpose, no matter how unpredictable life becomes, you'll always find your way back to stability. And there will be days when you don't feel like doing any of it. Days when the world feels heavy, when motivation disappears, when you question whether any of this effort even matters. Those are the days that define you. Those are the moments that separate who you were from who you're becoming. Because on those days, when you still choose to show up even if it's imperfectly, you strengthen your resilience. You teach yourself that your actions are not controlled by your feelings, but by your values. And that's where true power lies, not in doing things when they're easy, but in doing them when they're hard. And it's easy to stay disciplined when you're inspired. It's easy to be positive when everything is working. But the real transformation happens when you act with purpose, even when no part of you feels ready. That's how consistency is born, through repetition, through imperfection, through showing up again and again until the habit becomes second nature. And when that happens, when doing the right thing becomes automatic, you no longer have to fight for motivation. You simply are the kind of person who follows through, and start noticing the conversations you have with yourself throughout the day. Every time you think, "I'll do it tomorrow," "it's not worth it," or "I'll never change," stop and challenge that thought. Those small, automatic beliefs are habits too. Mental habits that can either build you up or break you down. Replace them with thoughts that empower you. Remind yourself, "I'm capable, I'm improving, I've handled worse." The mind is a garden. If you don't plant intentional thoughts, the weeds of doubt and negativity will take over. Cultivate it daily, feed it truth, protect it from noise, and you'll start to see how your external world begins to mirror your internal one. When your mind is cluttered with worry, your environment often follows. But when you create order inside through gratitude, reflection, and consistent habits, you'll find your surroundings start to align too. You'll declutter your space, simplify your choices, and begin to notice peace in places that used to feel chaotic. It's not magic, it's alignment. You're simply bringing the same clarity you've created within yourself into everything around you. And as you do this, you'll also start to feel a deeper sense of purpose. You'll realize that the reason these small habits matter so much isn't just because they improve your life. It's because they give you the capacity to impact others. When you become more centered, more patient, more intentional, you naturally start to lift those around you. Your calm becomes contagious. Your consistency inspires others. The best way to change the world isn't by preaching. It's by becoming a living example of what's possible. And sometimes we underestimate how much influence we have. A kind word, a moment of listening, a gesture of respect. These are all habits too. They build trust, connection, and love. They remind people that goodness still exists in a world that often feels harsh. The more you practice kindness, the more it becomes part of your nature, and kindness, like every other habit, compounds over time. You might not see the ripple effect right away, but it spreads quietly, transforming more lives than you could ever imagine. And there's another shift that happens when you stay consistent with your habits. You stop fearing change. You stop clinging to control and start flowing with life. You begin to understand that even when things don't go according to plan, you can adapt. Because the habits you've built aren't dependent on conditions. They live inside you. They're part of who you are now. That's the kind of freedom that can't be taken away. No matter what happens, you know how to ground yourself, how to recalibrate, how to find direction again. And maybe that's the real goal of all of this, not perfection, not performance, but peace. The peace that comes from knowing you can trust yourself. That no matter what happens around you, you'll find a way to keep moving forward. That's the kind of strength that changes your life from the inside out. And every small decision you make today is a brick in the foundation of your future. So make them count. Choose integrity when no one's watching. Choose effort when it's inconvenient. Choose love when it's easier to be cold. These small choices are the unseen architecture of your destiny. And when you live like this long enough, you stop needing motivation, you start becoming it. And there's something powerful that happens when you realize your potential isn't found in what you get, but in who you become. The external results, the career, the body, the success, are reflections of an internal transformation. They're the echo of the quiet work you've been doing daily. That's why the habits matter so much, because they're not just shaping your actions, they're shaping your character. And as your character strengthens, your standards rise. You stop tolerating what drains you. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop shrinking yourself to fit the expectations of others. You begin to demand more from life because you're giving more to it. You begin to expect better because you're being better. And all of this begins with those small daily choices, those moments when you could give up but don't. Those mornings you could sleep in but rise. Those nights you could complain but reflect. That's where transformation happens, in the quiet corners of everyday life. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes to live this way, to live on purpose, to live with gratitude, to live with power. And every single day you wake up, you're being given a blank page. You get to decide what habits you write into that page. You get to decide who you're becoming through the small things you choose to do. The beautiful truth is that the power to change your life has always been in your hands. It just starts with what you do next.